Texas Tech losing in the Orange Bowl the way that they did was rough. But what if I told you that as rough as that was for the league and Texas Tech, it's also the college football playoff, the source of some incredible hope for the league, and it proves that the Big 12 can become a legitimate national title contending conference, okay? Let me explain. Look, I have not beaten around the bush on this channel at all about 23-0. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything that happened in the Oregon game. Nothing. That was bad. Bad performance by Texas Tech. Offense obviously did far less than James Madison did, and that was on a neutral field, not in Autzen Stadium. That was bad, period, end of sentence. It's hurting the conference's reputation. You've got Dan Wolken out there now questioning whether or not the Big 12 is actually a Power 4 conference. And it's just, it sucks because you felt like you had so much momentum going into the playoff. You had 3 teams in the top 15, 5 teams that are likely to wind up the year in the final top 20. You had BYU at least rankings-wise really close to the playoff. Whether or not they were included on those graphics, they were pretty close. And Texas Tech got the benefit of the doubt in the first round bye. It felt like, man, this was a big step forward for the league, unless you get shut out against Oregon and lose by 23 points. And that's what happened. Now, the other thing is, all of that I said about the narrative about the Big 12 going into things, had Miami actually been left out of the playoff, then the ACC would have been the league that everybody was really circling more so than the Big 12, being like, well, hey, 3 of the last 4 years, the ACC hasn't even made the college football playoff. And the one year that they did have 2 teams in last year, they lost both games by double digits. Their conference champion just won 5 or lost 5 games this year. Like, the ACC would be the league really under fire. But of course, Miami got in, I think deservedly so. And Miami now is proving that they were absolutely worthy of a spot in here with the 2 wins that they have. But you were that close to having some of that ire and scorn shielded away from you. Plus, I mean, hey, the SEC story is something to keep an eye on too. Maybe that can take away a little bit of the sting here. If Ole Miss doesn't make the national championship game, the SEC is going to be a big, big story in all of this. The SEC might get shut out of the title game for a 3rd straight year. And this goes into the bigger picture point that I'm going to make here and try and paint a picture for you guys that college football has changed a lot, man. The tectonic plates of the sport are changing. As much as that has hurt the Big 12, mostly with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, quite obviously, this is also a time with great opportunity. I've been talking about how nuts the portal is right now. Wherever there is chaos, and there is complete and utter chaos in this sport right now, the portal, the calendar, NIL, whenever something like that happens and the atmosphere and environment is that crazy, there is opportunity. When there is chaos, there is opportunity for somebody. I feel like that's a pretty universal truth in life across the board. You got to be the one to take advantage of that opportunity. The SEC has ruled this sport with an iron fist generally for the last, 20 years? Guys, the SEC is struggling now. I mean, we'll see if Ole Miss can put this together. And frankly, it's hard for me not to root for Ole Miss just with the Lane Kiffin situation, now having coaches that he's just pulled back to LSU that aren't helping this week for Ole Miss. So much of that, it's like I just want to shove it in Lane's face and have Ole Miss win the national championship and him never win anything at LSU. But if LSU fails to make the national championship game, you'd be going on 3 straight years without the big, bad, mighty SEC being in the national title game. And Miami is a 3.5-point favorite to win the game. So if chalk plays out there, the SEC would be locked out for a 3rd straight year. It would mean the last time the SEC played for a national championship was the same year the last Big 12 team played for a national championship. Think about that. That's crazy, man. The SEC is going to take a lot of crap if and when that happens because they got 5 teams in, more than anybody else. Big Ten still has more teams left here in the Final Four. The ACC is on equal footing. I mean, the SEC has lost its grip on this, and it's not just that they're not in it. I mean, Alabama's losing by 35 to Indiana. And if you need anything else to just drive home the current state of the sport, Alabama is losing by 35 points in the Rose Bowl, no less, to Indiana. And you can make that, I guess, a Big Ten v. SEC thing. Certainly, if the Big Ten wins a 3rd straight national championship, there's going to be some of that. But this is really just a bigger picture look at what the sport is right now. There's a bit of a power vacuum because the landscape and just the rules of the sport have all changed. Like the way you do it has changed so much. And it's an opportunity for whoever is willing to embrace the chaos and does things the right way based on all of this. Remember, I've been pushing this for a long time too. The staff from Bud Elliott and Bill Connolly, who runs ESPN's S&P Plus, according to his metric, over the last 6 years, the gap between number 1 and number 20 in the country has decreased by 2 touchdowns. Used to be a 3 touchdown gap. Now it's like a 1 touchdown gap. I know I watched the Texas Tech Oregon game. I've seen that as a one-off. I also see that Indiana has the 72nd most talented roster in the country, according to the talent composite. And they're the number 1 team in the country, just clubbing Alabama. So it's clear that the rest of the sport has become much closer to the guys that were in that circle of teams in the 2010s that were the only ones that could win national championships, right? I mean, it was Bama, Georgia, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State. And it was like nobody outside of that tier could stockpile enough talent to stand any chance of winning a national championship. That is totally different now. Okay. And this is good news for the Big 12. This is very good news for the Big 12 overall and in general. Okay. Look at the Final Four right now, man. Indiana, Miami, they come from the ACC, right? That's one of the 2 leagues that's not the quote-unquote power 2 that has the decision-making power right now that everybody is thinking about or talking about. Even Ole Miss, who's here, yes, they represent the SEC, but this is not a team that is a traditional power in the SEC. Ole Miss has found a way to make itself this hyper-relevant in this transfer portal NIL era. And then you have Oregon, who is probably out of this group, right? Like the most traditional power, but at least in the last 20 years, but Oregon has never won a national championship. So it's still in some ways kind of like a new guy on the scene here. All these schools that are outside of that, it seemed locked in and inevitable in the 2010s that forever it's just going to be Bama, Georgia, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State that win every single national championship every year. That's not the case anymore. And Texas Tech, I will continue to make this point till the cows come home, man. Texas Tech just needs time to continue recruiting at the level they're recruiting at, and they will be at an Oregon level with their program. And it may just take getting quarterback right. We'll see. That's where obviously a lot of Tech's push has been so far. It looks like they're landing Brendan Sorsby. They've already landed a couple of receivers. They're trying for Cam Coleman, who's like the most sought-after player in the entire portal right now, the Auburn receiver transfer. I don't know that he's going to make it to that Tech visit, but it does seem like they're in line to possibly get a visit there. My point is, they're going to get that roster to where it needs to go. Cody Campbell already said, hey, we're doubling down on resources and everything that we need to do right now. We already know about how much Texas Tech pushed all their chips into the middle of the table this year. Oregon had the 5th most talented roster in the country, according to the talent composite. Texas Tech was 29th. Texas Tech was 1 spot above Colorado. If that gives you any idea of and the talent composite, again, is taking every player you have, whether you would obtain them through high school, the portal, whatever, and tracing back their star rating, right? What these guys were coming to college football. Texas Tech has the 29th most talented roster. Oregon's 5th. Just need more time. Tech's still recruiting at a very high level, right? Number 1 player in the 2027 class. They have a couple 5-stars in 2026. Got a top 20 class there. Got 5 4-star commitments in that as well. They are crushing the transfer portal right now as we speak. Texas Tech is not going anywhere. And even the big brand wonks like Bud Elliott have said, Texas Tech is coming, man. They'll be okay. And that's what the Big 12 needs in this era. This is going to kind of lead into where I'm going with this next. But really the conversation right now starts and ends with Texas Tech being the team that can be your perennial national championship contender here. Now, maybe BYU, Utah, kind of seem to be on the fringes to me of what they've done with their programs and the resources that they have at their disposal. And I'm certainly open to others that can step up. Hell, Arizona State, again, had Texas beat last year, and that was not an all-star talent roster. Maybe Kenny Dillingham is that good that he can just do that if his quarterback actually stays healthy every single year. We shall see. But my point here is I do think there's more opportunity than what is being led on by those who are just bashing the Big 12 in the wake of Texas Tech's loss, which I get. I understand. I was pretty bummed about it. But from the rising up from the ashes, there is opportunity here in just what a crazy college football world and timeline we're living in, as evidenced by if you just go peruse Twitter throughout the day right now with the transfer portal open. I mean, you'll just see it's wild, man.